ornaments for the Knockdhu Reel. I'm going to teach you a set of ornaments that I use typically and give you a couple of alternatives so you can create your own sort of path for your ornamentation to really get the flavor of the Scottish feel. If you're a cellist and you're looking for this sort of thing, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, and also visit groovecelloacademy.com and check out the resources we have available for you there. Starting off, we're going to use a lot of flicks. If you're coming from an Irish tradition, you might call these taps. They tend to live very quickly right at the beginning of the note, whereas a tap often subdivides a note. We're going to use that in the B part. If you did the B part tutorial, you might remember that. We used that tap or flick to subdivide the A. In this case, we're going to use it right at the beginning of a note as an articulation. So right at the beginning, we're on the E. Right, use a flick right there. One here on the B. And then something what Irish would call a cut. Right there on F to E. Let's try to get those. So we have two flicks and a cut. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Okay. Now we're just going to add one extra cut at the end of the fourth phrase. So check this out. Right there from C to B. Okay, so slowly walking through, let's see if we can grab all of these. It's just 6 ornaments for the whole A part. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Here we go. Cut. Flick. Flick. Cut. Repeat. Sweet. Okay, now let's take a look at the B part. If we're up the octave, I will go here in order to get a flick. Okay, it does change my bowing a little bit because I'm not going to change my bow for the second E. I'm going to flick basically a tap in order to articulate that subdivision, right? So here we are backwards to what we practiced in our tutorial. So we're either going to play backwards, right, which is fine. If you end up backwards anywhere, you want to develop that skill of being able to add or subtract a 2-note slur somewhere in order to reverse your bowing and get yourself back on something comfortable, right? So right there, we had a 2-note slur. We could take that away, and then we're back on a down bow there for our open A. Works great. And then here, we already talked about a flick there. It's going to live the same, right? Okay. Coming off of that, we'll use the tap here, right? And again, we're backwards. So just like the end of the A part with a flick on the B. And we might not slur our last G into the A. We might break that in order to get back to a down bow. And then you can come from a low A to the high A if you want. That's not a big deal. But so that really gets us through most of what we need for the B part, right? We have the E, flick. You could flick here. here because that's a dotted note. Okay? One little thing we could also do instead of, right, to flick on the A and then to flick on the E. They're on the same part of the bar and they're the same length. So to flick both of them in the same way sounds a little repetitious, a little perhaps redundant. So what we could do on the E to do something different would be a roll, right? Which is like a turn where you go to the upper note, back to middle, lower note, and back to middle. The difference being that we're not going to fully voice any note other than the melody note. So the E is the only melody note we really hear. Everything else sounds non-pitched. Right? That's a really light touch under the fingers. So let's see. So then you want the arrival of your roll, the last E arrival, to be the final subdivision of the dotted quarter note. So great. Have a great time with that. I'll see you next time. We'll hit some chords and chop options for backing up this tune. Lots of fun. Cheers.